Well, hey y'all, I don't know about y'all, but the older I get, the more trouble that I have with the heat. And y'all, we live in a very hot and humid climate, and so gardening can be a real task for me sometimes. And so I wanted to share with y'all something that I picked up for this summer. It is actually, it's a stroller umbrella. And so I just am gonna attach it to my little garden stool that I use, and then it's gonna provide the shade that I need when planting out this spring. And yes, even in spring, we have 90s on the forecast this week, and we're in a extreme drought situation. And so it is hot and dry and not very comfortable to work out in the garden with. And we've got lots of plants to put out, so I can't have that heat stop me today. Today we're going to be getting to planting out the Augusta Lavender Heliotrope. We have 5 of them here that we're going to be putting in the ground next to this autumn joy sedum. I will say one of the great things about getting plants in this little quart pot is they're really not very hard to get into the ground because the root systems aren't as big and the pot's not very big. So the hole that you have to dig is just not very challenging at all. In fact, I'm going to use a trowel today to prove that. Just kind of push it back. I'm going to use a little bit of Biotone starter fertilizer. Not very much. Another reason I need to kind of get these in the ground quickly is because of the heat. I'm watering them every day, and halfway through the day they're already dried out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get them in the ground quickly so that the soil and the nice clay soil that we have, that we complain about but has some benefits, can stay moist a little bit longer, allowing these to get everything that they need. I'm just going to take the mulch, spread it back around there. I'm really enjoying planting in our new mulch that we're using. It's been very, very easy to deal with. And there we go. So I'm going to do that 5 more times, and then we'll be done. All right, so I have the holes dug and all of the biotone in. I'm just going to kind of swirl it around with the natural dirt that's in there. I'm just going to pop these out now. They did a really great job. These, of course, came from Garden Crossings. If you hadn't seen my annual video or short, you should take a look at that. They do a great job. You can see where they did all the pinching, which creates this really full plant of leaves, which is going to be successful down the road. And we got one that's kind of over here to the side. Oh, I forgot one. This one back here, I didn't dig a hole for that one. I'll have to do that real quick. All right, so we have them all in, and we're gonna go ahead and water them really well because it's a very hot day, so we don't want to wait until later to do it. And I'll check on them again tonight to see how much of it just evaporated. But I did water them, like I said, this morning, so the actual root ball was still very moist. Now these get like 2 feet tall and wide, so they'll look like a sizable shrub. And again, the sedum that's there behind it also gets to be a good size, and so I think they're gonna look really good together. And I know that because if you walk right over here, we already have them. Now this area gets more sun than the one we were just in. So you can see that the sedum, these are older, a little bit older than the sedum we had on the other side, but they also get more sun. So they just size up more quickly. And then here we have what a more mature Augusta Lavender Heliotrope will look like with the blooms and all. We planted this last year as an annual, or we thought it was gonna be an annual, over by the maple tree in I've told y'all before, it got whitefly infestation. And so we moved it over here so it could get more sun and give it a fresh start, and it does reseed, so you need to know that. But this is what the little, where it reseeds, what it looks like. So if I didn't want that plant there, I could easily just pull that out of the ground and it wouldn't be a problem. Pesky squirrels. They're being so terrible this year, and I think it's just that it's dry. They're just looking for more moisture and stuff, but they got in here and pretty much ruined this plant, so I'm gonna have to cut it back and let it try again. But it was so sad because it's got such beautiful blooms on it right now. All right, so I had to change cameras, so sorry if it looks a little bit different, but we moved over here to the maple because this is gonna be our next planting project that we're doing today. And I wanted to show y'all kind of how much that Augusta Lavender Heliotrope reseeds. This is some of the area that it was in between these plants here. We had it last year, and these are some of the seedlings. There's 1, 2, 3, and I've already pulled, oh, and there's another one coming up. I've already pulled a dozen or more out of here. And what's crazy to me is that they didn't do that great over here. So I didn't think that they would reseed this bad. So I can only imagine what they're going to do in the place that they are now that gets a lot more sun. I expect there to be a lot more reseeding happening. And you know, it's really not that big of a deal because all you have to do is just plop them out of the ground. You don't have to dig it out or anything like that. In fact, some of these I've contemplated whether to leave them here or not, because I was growing some gomphrena to put in this area between all of these larger shrubs towards the front of the border, and it's not really doing that great. So I don't know if I should be patient and wait on it. I have a hard time doing that. And I did purchase some Truffula Pink gomphrena in my annual order, but I was going to put it in the front bed. But I may end up using it here if the gomphrena that I'm growing doesn't hurry up and look like it's going to get some size to it. But enough of that. Today we're going to put in, these are Rozanne Geraniums. They're cranesbill geraniums, so they're a perennial, more of like a ground cover. I do believe they get up to about 2 feet tall, and they're hopefully going to spread into all of this shaded woody area. It does get a little bit of afternoon sun as well, which I think that it'll like. But we are going to take this as a centimaize gardenia, and we have 3 of them. We have 1 here and 2 on over next to the tea olives, and we had a 3rd, or I guess a 4th, and none of them have really done well. And so this is, I think, their 3rd year in. As you can see, it's all yellowed. I don't know that they've bloomed more than 1 or 2 blooms over the 3 years, and so it's just not really bringing me the joy that I would like. So we're going to take that out in order to give this geranium as much room as it wants to kind of fill in all of this area back in here, and we may end up getting more if it does well here. But I haven't ever grown this. Again, don't know anybody that has it around here, so it will be again kind of a little test to see how it grows here in Georgia 8B. These were, however, the only plants in my annual order that had gotten disheveled. For some reason, they were out of their pots, essentially. And so hopefully that didn't disrupt their root system too terribly much. I just kind of gently pushed them back in there and watered them in really well. So I don't expect when we take them out of their cans today that there'll be a nice root ball. I'm gonna have a feeling that a bunch of dirt's just gonna go everywhere. But, you know, it's okay. As long as the plant can, you know, sustain itself, it's not a big deal. I bet you don't even have to dig that out. I bet it just reached down and it pops out. Nope, it's rooted in a little bit. Look how tiny that root system is for it to have been in the ground as long as it has. Since my husband was nice enough to come help pull that gardenia out of the ground, I'm gonna go ahead and get him to dig my holes because that'll be a lot quicker and I don't have to get down on my knees. Ooh, and I'm glad he did that because there's a drip line right there beside that one. Isn't it funny how you always pick the perfect spot right next to where there's either roots or a drip line? The birds are bananas and love this weather. Hopefully y'all can hear them on my mic. There's also a lot of emergencies evidently in our area because sirens have gone off absolutely all morning. maybe we come, I don't really want to come forward. I mean, do you think, I see that big root coming off of the tree right here where the canna's at. Could we go kind of back behind that, closer to the heuchera? You think right there? Or do you think that's a bad place for it? What about, I know by the time y'all see this, we'll already have chosen a place, but I wish y'all could help me pick a place. I mean, would we want to come all the way back here? But it's kind of going to be the same thing with the roots.
I think an option is right here, where we're at, or across the path behind.
No, I don't want it over there because I have some seedlings growing there already. And this is more of a ground cover. So it needs some room to be able to meander. So that's the reason why I'm thinking over here maybe is a better spot if there's not a root there.
There's gotta be one right there.
But if you could go just back or somewhere. What about up here? Do you think that's
right here?
No, to the other side, behind the lamb's ear, behind the lamb's ear.
Here.
What do you think?
No. It doesn't really look like this with those.
That's true. All right, y'all, let me turn this off so we can decide. All right, so we found a little space in between the roots over here that we're going to put them in, and hopefully they won't. I know that geranium Rosanna is really good at kind of intermingling with other plants, so I'm hoping it'll like the delphinium and not compete with it at all. And I also hope that the roots from the maple aren't so vigorous that the root systems for this Rozanne Geranium can't really take hold in order for it to flourish. It's some of the disadvantage of growing or trying to grow underneath trees. It's kind of difficult, and you're taking a risk of either damaging tree roots or your plant not surviving, because red maples they love water, and they're going to suck up every little bit of water that they can get. So we'll have to keep a good eye on all of this, especially this one that we put in to the far right, because I don't believe there's a drip over that way. But we know that the two on the left are right next to a drip line, so they should be good as far as water goes. All right, so we just added a little bit of Biotone starter fertilizer, but I wanted y'all to see the tag here. It's Rozanne Hardy Geranium. It's Cranesville is its flower name or family. It says 12 to 24 inches high and then 15 to 20 inches wide. It does like part sun to full sun. It says that deadheading's not necessary, but it's a continuous bloom or rebloomer, long blooming, all the things that I love to hear. So I'm really excited to see, and it says that it's easy care. Again, things that you love to hear. So I'm excited to see how this does in our area, and I'll take y'all along and let y'all know as it develops. All right, so we got those in. We're just gonna water them in really well. I'm so excited to see. I haven't really grown a lot of ground covers before, but I really like the idea of it, especially for this shaded area, for it to just fill in. Because like I said, it is hard to keep putting holes into the ground. So something that'll get nice and wide and fill it out on its own without us having to plant more plants is really ideal for this spot. So I wanted to show y'all, earlier I was talking about the squirrels getting the Augusta Lavender Heliotrope, which is kind of surprising because it does have some toxic traits to it. So I would have thought that alone would have been enough to keep them away. But I wanted to share this little secret with y'all if you have squirrel nuisance. This is a calamintha, which is a form of nepeta, and they're little bitty seedlings, and the squirrels have already come and kicked out a couple of them. I had a row of 3 going through here and 2 in the back. Anyways, and so I use cayenne pepper. They do not like cayenne pepper, but yet it doesn't harm anything. And so I decided to kind of sprinkle some on there. I got a big case of it or jug of it from Sam's. Ends up being a very good value for doing something like this. So if you have squirrels getting into everything, something that you can do is sprinkle a little cayenne pepper. Of course, I wouldn't do the whole garden with it, but just these little bitty seedlings, giving them a chance to take root before they get kicked out or uprooted by pesky squirrels. Anyways, I'd love to hear if y'all have any squirrel deterrent, or what do y'all do for squirrels and rabbits. And I don't have deer, but I know most of y'all, or some of y'all probably do. What do y'all use in order to protect your garden from wildlife that is doing more harm than good? I hope y'all get out in your gardens and are enjoying your day, and we'll hope to see y'all real soon.